Hello, how's it going, Bears fans? I'm your host, Chris, and welcome back to another episode of the Bear Down podcast. Now, in this episode, I am going to be going over, just an entirety of the Detroit Lions season. So, welcome to another episode of Inside Enemy Territory. As I already said, I'm your host, Chris, and today we're just going to be overviewing everything there is to know about the Detroit Lions, the Bears' upcoming opponents this week. Huge game for the Bears as they're 5-3. The Lions are 3-5. Don't want to lose and go on a downward trend, obviously, to a team with a losing record. You can never take these division games lightly. And obviously, we saw that against Green Bay. We were up comfortably with a lead, and they came back. Aaron Rodgers doing what he always did to the Bears, and that's the only game we've had so far. We've got 3 in a row. We've got this, and then we've got the Vikings next weekend, which was flexed. Bears are registered flex offenders, if I could say so myself. Flex to Sunday Night Football. That should be fun. But 4 days later, then, we will face off against the Lions again. So I don't even know if I'm even going to record another Inside Enemy Territory on the Lions. I probably will, just to basically be overviewing this game. But, yeah. There's not going to be much to say in 12 days. The Lions will have played 2 more games. The Bears will have played 2 more games. So we'll look at the teams from there and see how they're doing. But let's get right into it. So obviously it's just myself tonight. I don't have Jaylen. I don't have Parth. I don't have a guest. I've said we were going to do that. We never did it. So yada, 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 my bad. We'll work on it. I say that every week, and it seems like nothing ever comes from it. But we're going to talk about, first of all, just an overview of Detroit's season. Now I'm going to pull it up, but I'm going to pull up their actual season here on ESPN where I just go over stats and stuff. But I'll talk a little bit about their last week's performance. Last week, the recent game they're coming off of for the Detroit Lions is they're coming off a game against the Minnesota Vikings where Matthew Stafford was actually sacked. I think it was like 11 times. Now, they got, I would say that the Lions have a good bit of starters at every position. Their defense gets a little bit weak. In their secondary, they've got two superstars in Glover Quinn and Darius Slay Jr. So Allen Robinson, who will be returning for this game, is going to have his hands full. I will say that in Darius Slay's defense, he's one of the better corners in the league, I think. And by the way, just looking at ESPN's matchup predictor, the Bears have a 75.6% chance to win this game as I'm scrolling through ESPN. But here we go. So week 1, the Jets killed, and I mean killed, the Lions. This was Darnold's first game. Everyone thought Darnold was incredible after that game, and Darnold has really been on a downward slope since then. They forced 5 turnovers, 4 turnovers on Stafford, and Stafford was actually pulled by head coach Matt Patricia in that game for Matt Castle, so that was not good. Week 2, Jimmy Garoppolo, when he was healthy, comes into town, beats the Lions 30-27. That was not too good. Then the Lions beat the Patriots. The Patriots really did not start the season out well. Sony Michel was injured. Obviously, they didn't have Julian Edelman. Gronkowski was injured, and they were still finding their way on defense, so the Lions beat them. Cowboys beat the Lions on a last-second field goal. Lions beat the Dolphins the week after the Bears beat the Dolphins. And then the last 2 weeks, they've lost to the Seahawks, who the Bears have beaten. And then they got killed by the Vikings last week when Stafford was sacked 11 times. So I wouldn't really say it's been an up and downward season for them. Honestly, I would say it's kind of like, actually, when I think about it, I probably would say it's been an up and down season for them. Obviously, trending more towards the bad side, but they've been up and down and up and down. They played a good game against Miami, and they played a good game against New England. And obviously, if you look at their bad games, they played bad last week against Minnesota. And they've played bad in other games, too. They got killed by Seattle at home. So that's not obviously what you're looking for if you're a Lions fan. But getting a bit more into it, I'm going to talk about a few players that I think are important on the Lions on offense and defense. This is going to be a short episode because I don't have any hosts with me. I'm just kind of going over a little bit of what I know about the Lions. So just a couple players to watch for. Normally, we would all name off one, but since it's only myself, I'm going to go with 2. So one player on offense I would look out for on the Lions, Kerryon Johnson. He is a rookie running back who I think has taken the starting job over from LeGarrette Blount. Very explosive back, very shifty and speedy out of the backfield. He had his breakout game against Miami where he carried for like 180 yards and a touchdown. He was insane. Now, I will say, In all of the Lions' losses, I read today that they have been held to under 35 yards rushing and like under 200 yards of total offense. It would be great if the Bears defense could do that. Now, Khalil Mack will be back in this game. It's hard to see Matthew Stafford not throwing for like 200 yards because he's a gunslinger. He likes throwing it. But I will say Golden Tate is gone. He was traded to Philadelphia at the trade deadline. So the Eagles picked up a good asset in him, and that helped the Bears out because he really haunted the Bears and the other teams in the NFC North for years. Golden Tate is really someone who I think is outplaying his age, and I really like watching him a lot. But leading to my next player on offense for the Lions to watch out for would definitely be Marvin Jones Jr. Now, he's their number one receiver right now, and they also have another good receiver in Kenny Galladay, also someone to look forward to. He's been really good for me, just personally speaking, in fantasy football, but he's a number 2 receiver for them, and he's stepped up and really played nicely into his role. But Marvin Jones Jr. came from Cincinnati looking for some more playing time a couple years ago from the Bengals, and he played pretty good. He's been playing really well. It's his first time ever being in a number 1 receiving role. But he's really explosive. He's a tall guy. He can get up there and jump. He had a really good catch last year where he caught it like over Eddie Jackson on Thanksgiving. I remember that last year. But he's definitely someone to watch out for. Kyle Fuller has played incredible. 4 turnovers in 3 games. 2 interceptions against Miami. 1 interception, I believe, against New England. And then a turnover against Buffalo as well. Nothing against the Jets for him, which is kind of surprising considering Darnold hasn't been playing too well. But Kyle Fuller's been on a streak. But Marvin Jones is always, I feel like, an under-the-radar guy to always watch for. So I'm going to say him as my second player to watch out for on offense. Moving over to defense, the newly acquired Damone Harrison. People compare this guy a lot to Akeem Hicks. I think Akeem Hicks is better. If you look at the stats, Akeem Hicks is definitely better, but Damone Harrison does get a lot of comparison to Akeem Hicks. He's a defensive tackle who got traded from the New York Giants at the trade deadline over to Detroit. It was a great acquisition by Detroit. They need some help on their defense, but he's going to get some push up on the line, make it a little bit tough on, I think, Eric Kush is probably who should be on him. Actually, it might be James Daniels who is starting now, but it's gonna be tough. Damone Snacks, as they call him, Harrison, he's been respected throughout the league for years. And he's one of the better D tackles in the league. I'd probably put him somewhere in top 10, top 15. So he's definitely someone under the radar to watch out for. I would say Darius Slay for my second player, but I'm not going to say Darius Slay. I'm going to say Glover Quinn. He's their stud safety, who I think is someone else that goes under the radar a lot. He's kind of starting to pop out on the national scene. Darius Slay has already gotten, I guess, like if I could say popped out, he's kind of popped out. He's known as one of the best corners in the league. But Glover Quinn is someone who is very much overlooked. He makes lots of plays on the ball. He can read the quarterback's eyes really well. Someone that I would definitely watch for. Hopefully, I think Trubisky's going to step up in this game and be able to play well. But you never know with Trubisky. So I believe in the guy, but you never know. I think he's been showing flashes this year. I think he's been playing a lot more consistently good. I just hope he continues to keep that up and keep proving me and a lot of people wrong about him, because last season for Trubisky I feel like was not a good season. This year I think he's been, I'd say, about average or a little bit better than average. A lot of people give him hate, and Chicago fans are almost unbearable sometimes with giving him the hate. But I think he's going to have to step up in this game, get the ball once again to guys like Anthony Miller, get the ball to guys like Taylor Gabriel. Allen Robinson, who's coming back from an injury, is going to have his hands full. Also, someone projected to come back in the Minnesota game who's going to be huge, who we'll talk about next week, is Adam Shaheen. That is going to be a huge, I wouldn't say acquisition, but just like a huge revival for the Bears offense. That's going to be big next week. So, finally, what have the Detroit Lions struggled on? I'm going to say one thing and one thing only, and that is, they've struggled just overall being productive against good defenses. Even when they had Golden Tate, good defenses have been able to keep them, I'd say, lower in the points category. Seattle got a pretty good defense when everyone's healthy. Obviously, they got the Griffins, one of them who picked off Trubisky twice in that game. They got Bruce Irvin when he's healthy, I think it is. Is it Bruce Irvin? Yeah, I don't even know. And KJ Wright, some pretty good defensive players, and they held them to 14 points. Obviously, you look at the Minnesota Vikings. They got Eric Kendricks. They got Danielle Hunter. They got, why can't I even name names? They got Xavier Rhodes. They got Harrison Smith. They held the Detroit Lions to 9 points. Khalil Mack is coming back this week. The Bears are statistically, especially after that just brutal pounding of Buffalo, forcing all those turnovers. They're the number one ranked defense in the league. Khalil Mack, Leonard Floyd was looking good last week. Roquan Smith had 13 tackles last week. He was the rookie of the week, I believe. He was very good. Eddie Jackson had an interception. Adrian Amos had an interception. Kyle Fuller, I already talked about him earlier. If this defense can stay rolling, I really think they're going to be able to pounce on Stafford, not only because the Detroit Lions don't have that great of an offensive line, but I think if we can lock down these receivers are really just, I feel like, boom or bust guys. So I think if we can get the ball back to our offense in pretty good positions, not even in pretty good positions, but if we can keep their defense on the field, they're eventually going to wear down. And if Stafford can't put up points on our defense, I think this is going to be a win for the Bears. So that's pretty much going to do it for this episode. If you guys have anything else you want to let me know about the Lions, please make sure to comment below. You can follow our Instagram and Twitter at Bear Down, and you can find me. My name is Chris on Instagram at @ShyBear and just @ShyBears News. You can follow me. That's my personal fan page. Wow, I cannot speak English right now. But yeah, that's pretty much going to do it. This is Inside Enemy Territory. Hopefully tomorrow we'll have our entire crew back with me, Parth, and Jaylen for 3 key factors to the game. And then you're going to get our pregame show. We actually are going to be starting a new segment soon, like a mailbag segment where you guys ask us questions on, and we're going to probably post it on Fridays, where we just come on and answer your questions, stuff like that. Our upload schedule's been a bit weird. You guys will see this on Thursday, and you guys will see 3 key matchups on Friday. And then on Saturday, you will see the pregame show. Normally, you guys would see this Wednesday, and then Thursday, you'd see 3 key matchups, and then we're going to do a mailbag segment Friday, and then Saturday, the pregame show. We're trying to incorporate as much stuff as possible for you guys. And hey, we're out here grinding. So that's pretty much going to do it for this episode, guys. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new and enjoy this episode of the Bear Down Podcast. And I'll see you in the next one. Bear Down Chicago. Peace.